Die like the rat you are!
Hello everyone, my name is AZZATRU, how are you, and welcome to another Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order video of mine. Thanks to the EA Game Changer program, I will be sharing with you brand new exclusive gameplay of Fallen Order, including a battle with the 9th Sister Inquisitor, as well as my impressions of what I played at a preview event in LA. We played for around 4 hours, and I got a really good feel for the game, from the combat and gameplay mechanics to the level design. Before I bring you my thoughts on gameplay, I just want to provide some context. The version of the game we played was the finished product without a likely day one patch to include some bug fixes and more before you play it on release. So all of the content is done. The majority of the gameplay you will be watching is from the planet Zeffo. This is a new planet made by Respawn for the game. We don't have a definite number of planets in the game, but they did say they've made a lot of new planets, and there is also some familiar ones, and as of right now, there is quite a few. During my 3 hours of story playtime, that was all spent on Zeffo. There were also planets like Dathomir and Kashyyyk to choose from, though. We started several missions deep into the story, so this is not the beginning of the game for reference. This proves that the game is not going to be short unless you use the lowest difficulty and rush through it. You can visit Dathomir early in the game, but Respawn said it's challenging, and you may not be able to complete the planet right away as you need to improve your force and combat abilities using the skill tree. So let's talk about gameplay. In short, it is a lot of fun. Killing the enemies are so satisfying. There are many different types of enemies that you can fight against. These offer unique fighting styles individually, so you will find yourself using different tactics and abilities to fight against different types of enemies regularly. And this game is no button mashing Battlefront 2 like game. In hero combat for Battlefront 2, it's pretty bad compared to this. This is a proper built from scratch game that is designed for great melee combat. I played on the Jedi Knight difficulty setting. There are 4 difficulty settings. There's the story one, there is Jedi Knight, there is Jedi Master and Grandmaster. Each of these change how much timing you have between parries and stuff like that. AI like the Guardians on Jedi Knight aren't really much of a pushover, but can offer some challenge. The hardest part of the game was surviving the traversal, as there are a lot of dangers along the way. You can use force powers to stop certain platforms from moving, things like that. But let's talk about game design more in depth, because it surprised me the most out of anything in this game. You have a lot of different routes you can take to get to a point. There are various ways of getting around, like vines, ice slopes, just a wide variety of natural ways to get around, which is really cool. There is so much verticality to the map as well. People expecting a linear game with very little freedom will be in for a treat, because it really is not like that at all. There are other areas that you may not be able to explore just yet until you unlock a new force power, so you can go back to that area and explore that side part. A lot of the exploration in the Zeffo Temple, for example, involved puzzles you had to complete. Moving objects and timing things to activate a door or a platform for you to make progress is quite common during parts of levels. I will share more details on this later on in the video, as it does bring some concerns, but for the most part, I enjoyed working them out. As some of you may be aware, I played Fallen Order back in June for just a few minutes at EA Play in sort of a test environment, which was nicknamed the Gauntlet after the Titanfall 2 Gauntlet. And this is where you could learn the basics of combat and take on waves of enemies. Before we started playing the story, we basically got an evolved version of this Gauntlet from EA Play, which had now a movement tutorial section at the start before the wave-based combat. Respawn did tell me that this tutorial is not in the final game, as it was made for the preview events to get you up to speed with the mechanics, as we would be jumping deep into the story and not have time to learn the controls. It was a separate build to the finished game. It wasn't hidden within a menu or something like that. And all of the things in the Gauntlet are learned in-game via playing. That's what Respawn said, and that's the reasoning behind why they have not included the Gauntlets into the game for everybody. However, I would still like to see a wave-based area that makes it into the game, just so you can have endless waves of enemies coming up against you. You can learn new skills. It's just a different way of getting to grips with combat and going back and re-exploring areas. Maybe you just want to be in this test environment, and it's just something I think Respawn should reconsider. Another note on differences since EA Play is that I found the controls to be a lot more responsive, more so with the parrying and blocking. This could just be me, or the fact that I was playing on a big TV at EA Play and that did have noticeable input lag, but I just feel like even with that, the controls just overall feel a lot better, and as soon as I felt the game again, it felt so much better. There was a noticeable difference. I also did not try mouse and keyboard controls for this game, even though we played on PC. I don't think anyone did, because Respawn since EA Play have told us that playing with a controller is the way to go. The controls are designed for you to use a controller. I still need to get used to the control scheme as there's a lot of functions, but it works pretty well. The pause menu offers a lot more than you may think. It looks nice, but offers sections for everything lore-based you come across in the game, which is really nice to see, because if you come across a creature that you've never seen before and you want to learn about it, you can do it in the pause menu. You can also change cosmetics on the fly. This is something many of you want information on, so I'm going to share with you everything I know. You can change Cal's outfit, BD1 skin, and your ship skin on the fly. There is dozens of skins per thing. All were locked and you can't get a preview of them, so I could not see them until I unlocked a few. I think I maybe unlocked about 5 or 6 different skins, and you find them in containers dotted around levels using BD1. You go up to it, you have BD1, go inside it, and he will come out with some sort of cosmetic or a collectible. Yes, there are collectibles that you will find. I didn't go looking for them, but you can find them just by progressing the level. The skins I found were just recolors of existing designs. They did not change the look of anything other than the colour. Cal has his default sort of appearance. He also has his workman outfit back from when he was working in the shipyard. I found a skin that changed the colour of his shipyard outfit to mostly white with some orange. He had some nice arrow patterns on, and it was pretty cool. I wore that for the majority of the time playing the game. But that is not all. You can customize your own lightsaber. Yes, seriously. On the ship, you can change each part of the saber hilt and the colour of the blade. I was able to change the lightsaber colour to green, which is pretty awesome. And I did not expect lightsaber customization other than the pre-order bonuses, so this is really awesome. In terms of story, it's hard to comment on, as much of what we played through were missing context, and that seems like a big thing, because they try to give us not a lot of context so we don't get a lot of things spoiled. But it seems really interesting, especially with the temples, the Jedi and Force exploration. The characters have also grown on me a little bit more, but the best way to play this game is of course from the start, so your experience will be different to mine. Now let's talk about my concerns with the game. My first point will be about the puzzles you can come across in levels that you must solve to progress. Some puzzles could be quite frustrating for players to complete, especially the more casual of gamers. I will offer an example that had a lot of us at the event stuck on for quite some time. In a temple, there were 3 balls and 4 spots for the balls to go. When the balls were on the spots, they would move parts of the temple, for example. Using the wind door mechanic and force push ability, you had to time a ball jumping off a ramp and you moving another ball onto one of the other spots to activate a door or something to progress through the level. For me, I got the idea of what to do after some time, but the timing of moving balls proved a little bit frustrating. However, there was a sense of success when you completed such a puzzle. It's a good feeling progressing in this game. BD1 can also offer minor hints in puzzle areas, but I'm not 100% sure how useful they are. The game sure does not push you around and tell you where you can go and look. Next up, I was not impressed with the settings and the choices at hand. Some settings pleased me, such as the ability to turn off film grain, chromatic aberration, and motion blur, which personally I think all of these settings make games downright ugly. Games like Titanfall 2 and Battlefront 2, I've had these settings turned off since release. But there's also no slider for these settings, it's just a on or off switch. Titanfall 2 had a film grain slider, this game does not. There is no FOV slider for those wondering about it, but it is a third-person action game, and the camera is nicely far back away from Cal, so you can see the entirety of his body, which is great, and it also gives you decent spatial awareness. I also could not see an FPS limiter, which perplexed me in 2019. Like, why is this not a thing? I don't get it. Now, this next thing is more of a nitpick, and it did break my immersion a little, so that's why I'm bringing it up. But some of the shorter and smaller animations weren't so smooth in cutscenes. It was really jarring when it did happen. For example, there could be a scene and a character's movement may not appear to be realistic. It is kind of hard to describe from memory, but it did not happen in gameplay as far as I can remember. But there are just the little things here and there that really could use a little bit of polish to give a complete perfect experience as much as possible. I know it's not going to be perfect because it's a game and things like this happen, but I would like to see some improvement in this area. I will give Respawn the benefit of the doubt, and some of these things could be fixed in the day one patch. One last thing I have is I hope it doesn't get too repetitive. Are all of the levels this different, or are they very similar in level design? Does the different AI on each planet act differently? It's hard to say. Does the species have much of an impact? Because right now I've only experienced a few wildlife, but I really hope we don't get to see just reskinned versions of said animals. You also may find yourself going around in circles sometimes if you don't know where you're going. This does give me a little bit of repetitiveness. You have to meditate, so find a certain area on the ground and you can save the game here, and you can also regenerate some health, activate the skill tree, things like that. But if you miss these points and progress and die, you will go all of the way back to the last one you found. It really stung my progress once or twice. Other than those things, I'm really impressed with the game so far. It does have an interesting story, and I'm excited to learn more about it, plus just play more of this fun gameplay. I just want to keep playing and know more about the story and keep making Cal stronger with the Force. The tagline is Become a Jedi. The story is about becoming a Jedi and learning the ways of the Force and a huge diversity of combat. I cannot wait to see how this plays out into the grand scheme of things with the Star Wars Skywalker saga, because it is set between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, and I'm excited to see if it does have any implications on the story. That's going to do it for my impressions on Jedi Fallen Order. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like, subscribe if you are new around here, and check out any of the 2 previous videos on the screen if you did miss them, and I shall see you all in my next Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order video. Goodbye.